Yo, it's the Master Connector coming at you, live and direct. This ain't AI, it's that real human connect. Yo, welcome to the Master Connector show, where the real ones pull up and the energy grow. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, we live. LinkedIn and YouTube, where the real ones vibe. Started back in 2020, now the movement legit. Hundreds of episodes, and we still never quit. Steve Spiro, the Master Connector on attack. Rob Genovese, the brand builder, got his back. Two introverts, turn masters of connection. 28 years deep, built on trust and direction. No fake networking, no pinch slapping attacks. We build real relationships, and that's all facts. Famous guests, athletes, authors, TEDx flames. Military leaders elevating the game. Pack 30 minutes, but the impact hits strong. Jump in the comments and connect all show long. Be authentic, stay others focused, have grit, build community strong.
Yeah, that's how we are.
Be authentic, stay others focused, have grit, build community strong.
What's up, and welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovese, and we want to thank you for joining us today as we go live today and every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on LinkedIn, and you can catch the replays, of course, out on going out to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you are listening to your favorite shows. We hope we are one of those shows. And look, if you can't catch us live, go to masterconnector.show and see the roster of great, amazing guests that we have lined up for you, and pick the one you got, the one you need to hear from, and bookmark your calendar so you don't miss that, because live is where you get your questions answered. And that's the name of the game. This is about connecting. Look, if you want to connect with people, look, ask somebody a question about how they got to where they are. Man, you will learn so much. That's part of connection. We got a great show for you today. I'm excited about this one. Being better today than yesterday. You know, as soon as I discovered self-development way back in, I was about 22, 23 years old, I never stopped. And it's that never stopping part that's all about. And, you know, today's show, being better than yesterday, that's actually, this one's going to hit home for me, because every morning, that is a part of my prayer. Every single morning, please make me better today than I was just yesterday, because that's the name of the game. We're always leveling up. And part of that is, you know, learning from people who have been where you're looking to go. So we got a great show for you today. And listen, if you got any questions sometime during the show, anytime during the show, put them in the comments and we'll get them answered, because we are all connectors here. We want you to connect with our guest, connect with us, of course, on LinkedIn, and connect with each other. And while we're all connectors, there's only one master connector. Let's bring him on, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's up? Oh, I like that little DJ voice going on there. I like it. What's up, Robbie G? Glad you made it on here. I know you had some tech stuff going on earlier today, but glad we were able to work that out. And yeah, it was great sharing stage with you, bud. Really appreciate you. Made your way. And I've seen the major growth in you over the last few, bunch of years. 20.
Both of us, pal.
Years.
Both of us, right?
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
It's been a wild journey for sure. So, what's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. Man, it is going to be a great show. And so here's the question. What if the person holding you back today isn't someone else, but the version of yourself you're willing to leave behind? Boy, I pondered that one. Okay. Crazy question, right? But listen, I'm with Rob. You know, we have a mutual friend that introduced us to a business team, and eventually started diving in that world of self-development. And, you know, I had sort of dabbled in that a little bit, having a couple of black belts, the martial arts. There was that self-improvement piece there. But when we got around these people, the incredible people, and they challenged us, and they said, listen, the best room you want to get into is the room for self-improvement. And, you know, they talked about being better, today than you were yesterday. And, the other thing I want to share, because there's a lot of people, when it comes to success, there's often people that feel like they have to tear others down to grow, or to show themselves more successful. And I don't believe in that. And nobody that we have on the show, including John, Rob, believe in that. We believe in lifting people up. There's a mentality out there, especially my early stages, grew up in the Bronx, inner city, but it was a feeling of, you're going to make your building seem taller by tearing somebody else's building down. And that's not what true success is about. It's about growing and being the better version of yourself. Right. And, I had the honor of being on a TEDx stage and talked to hundreds of people, and, obviously in person, and then of course I've had a chance that this has reached lots of people, and you know, it's in that talk as well. I love speaking on stages about this because ultimately, when it's all said and done, for me, it's all about impact. And you can't impact people if you're not growing yourself. You want to continue to grow. And I heard it said like this: you need to fill your cup with overflow so you could pour out to other people. If your cup is empty, you've got nothing to give. So it's so important to stay in there. Big believer of listening to podcasts on a daily basis. Big reader, Audible now because of my dyslexia. It was better for me, but it's incredible. And you know, you guys know that a big part of how this all started was, you know, early on met this mentor, and you know, self-improvement, yes, but also challenging me to meet three strangers, and that has been a growth process along the way also, and has allowed me to, I guess, be the master connector. But I'm excited. Hopefully you are as well. I know you are. So if you're excited, just as excited as I, to have Rob introduce our guest here, type in the comments. Let's go. Robbie G, I'll pass it to you, buddy.
All right, man. Let's go. Before we introduce our guest, I want to say we've got our episode sponsored today, which is Russ Hedge. Russ Hedge has over 30 years of sales and marketing success in multiple industries. He can help you be successful. Truly connect. He's one of us. Transform your business. Connect to new customers. RussHedge.com. Thank you, Russ, for sponsoring this episode. And let's get to it. Jon Doolen is a leadership coach, trainer, and founder of Doolen Strategy Partners and the Get Doolen training platform. With more than 2 decades of experience in leadership development, final mile logistics, and home delivery, Jon has helped organizations and leaders build stronger teams through integrity, continuous learning, gratitude, and trust. His practical coaching style provides actionable strategies that inspire lasting personal and professional growth while delivering measurable results. Jon is passionate about helping people become better leaders by becoming better versions of themselves every single day. Please welcome to the show, Jon Doolen. What's up, Jon?
Hey, thanks. I really am grateful to be here, and what an introduction. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Jon, it's a pleasure having you on here for sure. And you have this sort of quiet confidence. I love that about you, you know. So good stuff. So I want to just acknowledge you. We've got Abhit. I'm not saying that name right. Sorry if I'm butchering the name. It looks like he's part of your network. And then, of course, the amazing Yolanda Chin is on with us here. So, Jon, let's dig into this, right? So, like, you know, we talked about it. Rob mentioned it. I mentioned it. You know, it's all about growing. You know, it's all about self-development, growing. And so curious to say, you know, to hear your perspective. So can we type in #growth? What inspired the philosophy of becoming better today than yesterday?
Really an environment of continuous improvement. My entire corporate career was spent fixing broken things, whether it was divisions, departments, processes, procedures. And what I found was that everybody comes to work and they want to do a good job. I've not met very many people who wake up in the morning and say the opposite of what Rob says. How do I have a crappy day? How do I have a bad day? How am I worse today? And so that really became a mantra of mine to say, you know, what are we going to do today? We're going to be better than we were yesterday. And that's when you start digging into measurables that we'll talk about later. That's always, you know, the feedback I get is, oh yeah, that's a nice catchphrase, but how? And that's where I think the real meat of the conversation happens, because if you think about your ripple effect, and when as you're going through your day, we don't stop to think about all the little places that we impact other people. And I would just challenge you to think about your day today. If you got up and left your house and went to an office, think about all the little tiny things that happened that impacted other people. Your headlights hitting a neighbor's house when you start your car, the sound of your car leaving your neighborhood. These are all little tiny things that we don't realize they're part of our ripple. Now we have a chance to smile, wave, nod, have a positive influence on other people. You know, I'm an aggressive driver. And so I'm working very hard that when I get that steering wheel in my hand, instead of being the smartest guy on the road, I'm waving and smiling and assuming that the other person's having a worse day than me, and I might be that positive influence on them. So to me, the get better today is just my motivation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I want to say this, from my martial arts experience, did a lot of, reading on, the Japanese culture. And I think the Japanese have a word, it's called kaizen, which is constantly improving. And yeah, so very, very important to constantly just keep growing, getting better. Yeah, for
You know, I,
sure.
I think we're talking about this theme right here, growth and how to be better. And it made me think of my dad, who growing up, my dad was a tinkerer. My dad fixed everything. He was an electrician. He understood everything. He built portions of our house. He fixed whatever we brought home, TVs, VCR, stereos back in the day when we were kids. On junk day, we used to come home with all kinds of stuff. My dad would fix it, get it working, and sell some of it. But every time he was looking at something, he always said this. And he said it to himself, but I caught it. He would always go, there's got to be a better way.
Hmm.
And that one thing he would constantly say, almost under his breath sometimes, it impacted me so much that I view things that way. And it wasn't just the television or the computer that I have to fix. It was a process.
Mhm.
It was what am I lacking that is causing me not to win at this thing? Oh, there's got to be a better way. Well, that better way, right, starts, and to your point, John, right, it kind of starts inside of us here. Better way, got to start in here.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Yep, it's awesome. Well, I want to just acknowledge Logan joining us. He says, "Hey, Steve, glad I got a chance to see the show. Great to have you on here." And Logan, new friend, met in real life, not just on LinkedIn. And we met. Yeah, I know, right? It was actually a traditional networking event at the Brazen Fox in White Plains. A little plug for Brazen Fox. I know Rob knows that place. But let's keep the ball rolling here. So, to me, everything starts with your mindset, how you think. It's all there. It's, yes, work is important, all that stuff, but mindset ultimately is the main thing. So community, type in #mindset. And so here's the question for you, John. So how could someone break free from allowing yesterday's failures to define today?
So I'll just tell you how I do it.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer in failing and trying something new. And if it worked, Rob, you had kind of touched on this, and there's always a moment where we can step back and say, what am I missing? So I embrace failure. I embrace trying new things and seeing if it worked, if it didn't work. The truth is, I think that if you try something new and you think through the different steps, you can make anything successful. But if you change the mindset to say, how, when you think about when your dad's fixing things and, how can I make this better? That's kind of, to me, the mindset of what got us here isn't going to get us there. And we have to constantly be just tweaking things, trying new things, and being okay with, hey, that didn't go well. And I think that's where a lot of young leaders get themselves caught up, is things didn't go well, and they wear that as a part of their identity instead of saying, hey, that didn't go well. Now I've learned how to not do it, and I'm going to do it better next time.
Love that. And so, folks, we're talking about being better today than yesterday with Jon Doolen. Sorry,
It's okay.
And no, I had the name straight all the time, and now all of a sudden not.
Well, that's not the worst mispronunciation, so I'm all right with it.
Yeah. And make sure you put your questions in the in the comments, and if you have any questions, I want to bring out. It looks like, Steve, what makes you feel challenging while learning new things? What was your mental blocks and how you overcome them? I would go. I think he's asking you this, John. So I'll let that question go to you if you want to maybe cover that one.
Yeah, this is a great question, and this is one that I come up against in my coaching every single day. And the mental blocks that you're running into, those are generally some type of fear cinder block in the foundation of how you came about who you are. And what I would tell you to do is just look around. And there's so many stories of people who started with nothing, people who came from adversity, and they found a way to win. And you're no different than them. And, to the point I made earlier, the only thing separating you from the famous, awesome stories that we've heard is you haven't stepped back to say, what am I missing? And so I would encourage that, when you find yourself in a slump, if you find yourself in a spot where you might feel blocked, then just take that step back and say, there's a path forward. I'm just not seeing it. But don't let the fear hold you back, because it's 100% of the time the fear is made up right here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is really resonating with me, John. As a brand builder, one of the things I notice with my clients, and people come to me all the time, is they're fearful. They're fearful of putting their ideas out there. They're fearful of being the authority, say on LinkedIn. That they put themselves out there. Somebody might hate on them, and that fear real in their minds. And one of the things that I had to do, because I was very fearful. The first half of my book is all about overcoming fear for, to accomplish things, is if I'm fearful, how do I become brave? If I'm timid, how do I be assertive? Because I was all those kind of negative things. And when it comes to business, you can't be that way. You can't run a successful business and be fearful and be timid and be apologizing for what you do. And that's the thing that people overcome. So overcoming that fear is the hugest part. And what I did, I'll give everybody a hint right here. And it's not a hint. It's actually something I did. I created a new identity for myself and I acted my way into it. And it's not fake it till you make it garbage. If fake it till you make it is outward. Like you tell lies basically outwardly to make it seem like I'm doing better than I'm doing. That's not what I did. It's inward. I told myself, this is the person I am going to be. And I acted that way assertively, courageously, confidently. And eventually I became that person. So some people call it the alter ego, right? The whole book on that. But creating that new identity, John, to your point, I had to step into who I wanted to be because it was all here. I had the tacticals. I didn't have this.
So yeah, some people will refer to that as manifesting, to say, I'm going to tell myself I'm this until I become that. However you look at it, as long as it works. And that's, and part of what I talk about when I say be better today than you were yesterday is you have to actually do things to move forward. I can't wake up every morning and say, I'm an elephant. I'm never going to turn into an elephant.
Right.
But when you actually set goals and you say, I am going to be this person, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to get out there on the TEDx stage, there are steps to take to get there. And, Rob, one of the things, when I feel those fear inspirations, or, I always feel it in my chest where I'm like, okay, something's not right. That's my sign to step back and say, I'm missing something. I'm not doing this well enough. And that's how I try to manifest the fear into actual energy, is to say, that's a sign that I'm missing something.
I love that. We have some folks in the comments. I like to acknowledge people that are, new to the show and or visiting the show. So I want to make sure we do comment. I want to make sure, I'm going to say Voss, welcome to the show. I don't think you've been on before. We have Mohammed on here now for the first time. So good to have Mohammed here. And Namatama, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Apologies if I am not. And then Nikhil Kumar is on here with us. It's all about mindset. I want to just cover here. It looks like, I'm not sure if it's a statement or a question, but maybe if you want to comment on this one, John, how to break overthinking that stops us from going forward and take any decisions.
Yeah, I would love to tackle that. So, because, I coach people from every spectrum, from 20 years old to 60 years old. And overthinking is something everybody does. But here's what I try and get people to focus on is the facts, the data, the numbers. What are we actually talking about? And I try to get people to steer past the generic, superficial buzzwords of, well, I'm not performing well enough. I'm not achieving this goal. Well, specifically, what was the goal? Where do we land? what was the specific thing you didn't think you performed well on? What was the measurement? What was the desired outcome? And once you start focusing on the facts and you start focusing on the data, the overthinking, you have to be able to take control of that and say, that's self-doubt, that's fear, that's the yesterday me telling today me I'm not good enough or I'm not going to win. And once you start hammering down on this is my actual goal. And I think, Rob, you had talked about the fake it till you make it mindset. And I think that, I don't know about other people, but I've suffered from this where I've entered into something new. I've launched a new product and I've had this dream that I'm going to drop this product tomorrow. The world is going to love it and everybody's going to swarm to it. And nothing happens. And so like we have to have that reality check of what is your actual desired outcome and how are you actually going to get there? And so that's how I push through that. When I start to feel that, I just step back to the data.
Love it. Yeah. Good stuff. I do want to acknowledge Jeremy on here. He says it's one of my most passionate topics I'm listening. And it looks like he's from your network. So great to have you on here, Jeremy. Hope you'll come back again. And I like what Nikhil said, overthinking brings fear. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of my favorite books, Rob knows, I talked about a lot. He read it too, I know. But The Magic of Thinking Big, our mutual friend who's now in heaven, but Ryan would say that he called it The Magic of Thinking Huge. Remember that, Rob?
Yeah, that's right. And by the way, we read that book. How many times?
Oh, I can't tell you how many times. It's been like 15, 30 times. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. Rob's frozen, right? Are you seeing that or is it me?
Yeah, I was hoping it was him and not me because I'm famous for those funny faces when my Zoom screen freezes up.
It's not a terrible face for Rob. It's not too bad.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Hey, for fear of the brand, I think I'm afraid right now, But anyway, let's keep this rolling here. So here's a question for you in terms of choice, right? So, to me, everything happens. It's the decisions to make. You mentioned it. Another favorite book is The Slight Edge. Those little things, those little choices you make, you choose to do or not to, right? I'm gonna actually take him off here. So yeah, it's a matter of choices. So community, type in hashtag choices. And apologies if we're not getting the cues here, but just go ahead and do it anyway. So here's the question for you, John. Why is the decision we make today more powerful than our past circumstances?
The easy answer to that, Steve, is it's the only thing we really have control over. There's nothing about yesterday that we can change. And the only thing we control tomorrow is what we do today. Yep. And so, we've talked a little bit about fear and procrastination and overthinking. And I don't see those as bad things. I see those as stimuli telling us it's time to move forward. Sure.
I love it. Yeah, that's great. Information constipation, right? You don't want to be there for sure, but choices and moving forward and just do, in the book, The Magic of Thinking Huge, it talks about do it now, just do it, right? Don't Nike slogan, right? Just do it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like Vas is saying, where are people or lacking skills to improve themselves? You want to grab that one?
I do. And I do, because I think it's going to be a good segue into something we're going to talk about later.
Sure.
So this is universal. And I'm not going to be popular for this answer because I'm just going to give it real. So execution, that's it right there. Is we as humans have the best of intents. We have the best ideas. We know where we want to go, but we just don't push the button to get there. And Steve, this isn't a blue collar thing, a white collar thing. This is a human thing. Yeah. I have seen this over the course of the last year and a half from CEOs, from entry-level manual skill labor workers. We like to talk about what we want to do. We like to think about what we want to do. But what really separates us is the actual execution of doing it.
Yep. I love it. Great. Looks like we got Rob coming back here. That's great. So I want to talk about, leadership. Everything rises and falls in leadership. John Maxwell is one of my favorite authors. He talks about, how do you spell, leadership? EXAMPLE, example, right? I love some of the things that he speaks about. So let's talk about leadership on here, your perspective. Community, type in hashtag leadership. And the question for you is, what daily habits, and we sort of touched a little bit on this, have you seen consistently separate great leaders from the average ones?
So first, I'd like to say John Maxwell is also one of my favorite humans. I think of the books behind me, there might be two of them that are not his.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm a big fan. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership was the first book. Yeah. So my answer here is going to be a little bit different because it's about leading by example. And so for me, here's how I contribute to consistent leadership. Rob asked the question before we went live about, how I earned my following on LinkedIn. And I'll tell you, it's about consistency. It's about getting out there every day and sharing your message, whatever it is. And so I started sharing just randomly and just random thoughts about leadership. And I started posting that. And what would happen is on the days that I didn't, I would hear from people. They would send me a message. Hey, is everything okay? Didn't get your message today. And the funny thing was I never set out to share every day. I just shared whenever I felt inspired to share. When I came across something where I said, I think I can help people learn from my experience. And so what I committed to several years back was every single night before I go to bed, I'm going to journal. And that journal becomes my content for tomorrow. And I share it on a variety of different platforms. And that's what I love about it is, for me, it's part of my ripple. And some of the names that you're seeing pop up on the screen, these are people I've never met. And I never in a million years thought that I would ever have people who read what I write, who live in Australia, New Zealand, Africa, France. I've never left the United States. And yet I have followers who the word of leadership is universal. And there's no language barriers. There's no geographical barriers. The world is looking for good leaders who can be consistent.
Yeah, love it. That's great.
Nice.
Yeah, we have a few contributions here. The thought of taking action creates paralysis from Jeremy. Paralysis. What if I fail? What if I get rejected? Very, very good point. Yeah. And he also says this is common, right? And then we have artificial intelligence technology. I think it was Voss who asked this. It's either a statement or question. AI will help us to progress better or create new problems. Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, and then if you want to share anything, your thoughts on that, John. But I think AI is great, but you can't rely on it only, right? You got to make sure that it's good for the back end stuff, for research, for, I like using it if I'm, trying to think through a concept, but I'm not going to use it just verbatim. You got to use your own brain, and whatever the delivery has to be the human point. It's got to be human. So what about you?
Bad news for some people. Some people don't want to use their brain.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Well, you could enhance it, but always make sure it's got that human piece, if you will. Yeah. John, what are your thoughts?
Well, so I've got a love-hate relationship with AI.
Okay.
Wasn't a fan. And then some IT friends that I have made fun of me because I was still using Google to do my research. And they taught me how to use AI to do research. And, I use AI every day for a variety of things. I use it to answer questions for me. I use it to help me research. Yeah. But to Rob's point, it's not always right. So you have to have more than one source of information to make sure and validate that the information you're getting is accurate. But so for those who were following my writing in the early days, I misspelled words all the time. I used the wrong word. And then after being corrected multiple times publicly, I finally decided, I'm going to use AI to spell check for me. And so I started using AI to spell check for me, but I don't ever let it change my words. Sometimes it'll tell me that my sentence is too long or that doesn't make sense. And, I might reconfigure it, but I always use my own words. So anything I post, anything I write, anything I publish, they're my words. And here's the love-hate part of it is when I put my own writing into an AI detector, it always comes back as 100% AI. And so that's where the love-hate relationship comes from, because I'm like, I know I wrote it.
Yeah.
And yet AI is saying that it wrote it. And so I get a little frustrated.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is awesome, and we appreciate it. We got to wind down things, unfortunately, here. It's probably my least favorite time of the day, which is when I have to actually close the show down. But I know you have something you want to bless our community with, and maybe if you can include that, tell us a little bit about that, and then best way for our community to reach you, if you would.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to share this.
Wow.
So the first thing I'll say is one of the things I love about my career, I mentioned earlier in the show that I stumbled upon this philosophy because I was constantly brought in to solve problems, to help teams get better. My training platform is called Get Doolen because I had a mentor one time who was giving another leader advice and said, well, if you've got that problem, you need to get Doolen. He can help you solve it. And it kind of became like a catchphrase. If you want to solve that problem, get Doolen. So I want to toss it out there to your listeners to say, if I can help you with anything, there's a link that'll be shared. You can find me at getdoolen.com. I try to keep it pretty simple. You can connect with me in a variety of ways off of that website, all the different things that I do. But if you want me to step in, do a free session with your team or with you, if you're struggling with your career, feel free to reach out.
Love it. Appreciate you. Well, phenomenal. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for blessing our community, and just have you go in the green room real quick, and then community, make sure to connect with Jon for sure, and make sure you're connecting with each other too. But definitely connect with Jon. Jon, thank you again. We appreciate you big time.
Thank you.
Awesome. Phenomenal. Well, listen, if you like that, check out next week's show, episode 272, August 5th. Same bat time, same bat channel, Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern. Stand out above the noise with Leanne Chan. It's going to be a great show. And if you're interested in learning more about future episodes, be a sponsor like today's sponsor, Russ Hedge, go to masterconnector.show. You could also find out what it takes to be a guest. We are booked out all the way to April of 2027. It's crazy. But I want to finish with a story. At age 65, Colonel Harlan Sanders had little more than a Social Security check and a chicken recipe. After being rejected hundreds of times, he refused to let yesterday define his future and eventually built Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, into one of the world's most recognized brands. Listen, no matter where you are today, your next decision can change the direction, the trajectory of your life. So keep growing, keep believing, and be a beacon of light for the world. God bless. We'll see you next week.
Yo, welcome to the Master Connect, the show where the real ones pull up and the energy grow. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, we love so long.